Welcome back to the 7th grade Mustache. On today's episode, we'll be speaking about Beyond the Pale Horse, picking up where we left off on the last episode about the Pale Horse, because the book was so powerful in what it contributed to the main consciousness of society that we have to go back and revisit many of the attributes that it possessed and how it affected us in ways that we're still talking about to this day.
Or specifically when you recognize something from the book or how it applies to society now. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at situations where, okay, did you see that? Did you spot that? That kind of stuff.
Yep, exactly. I mean, there's things that we, especially when it comes to governance and the rule of law, and when you see things where the rubber meets the road in regards to how the government is controlling the masses, FEMA, for example, or House resolutions that control gun laws, or House resolutions that control the contingency of government. These things that are snuck into these bills, the details of the bills that people don't really pay attention to. And what they'll do is it'll be a bill that say, this is a bill to end all pedophilia. And on the surface, everybody's supposed to back something like that. I mean, you're evil.
Yeah, that sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah.
But these sneaky chicken fuckers are putting all types of grease in the back end of that House resolution. And those are the things.
But hold it. So that's the back end. But what about the front end? When you read the wording, it'll say something to the fact that, a child as young as 6 can give consent. Unless you read that whole bill, like we all know about the back end stuff, but it's some of the front end stuff is just as bad. Well, when you actually read the bills, and that's what Roscoe's talking about. There's stuff in there that you wouldn't believe. Remember when they interviewed Ron Paul years ago? They said, "Why do you vote against every bill?" And he says, "Because I read them." When you read this 1,000-page bill, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that's in it.
So there's a quote on page 197 of Behold the Pale Horse, and it's on the chapter about the secret government, and it's a quote from Pope John Paul in 1935. Pope John Paul the 22nd, and the quote is such: "The signs are increasing. The lights in the sky will appear red, blue, green rapidly. Someone is coming from very far and wants to meet the people of Earth. Meetings have already taken place, but those who have really seen have been silent." That means there are deals that are being made on our behalf without our knowledge. And these people who are making these deals that we have elected do not intend to share the details of these meetings. For example, if there is something that's happening to affect our safety, and they use the old belief that society will collapse if extraterrestrials are proven to be a real thing, they won't tell us. And so they'll make these deals, extraterrestrial or not, that will change our lives in ways that they can say they told us because it's written into a law, or it's shoved into the back end of the law or somewhere into the law in a 1,000-page document that we won't read. But if we're pressed to tell them, nigga, turn that shit off.
It's off. Go.
So if we press them to tell us, where was this posted? Where was this published? Mm-hmm. They'll say, oh, it was in this bill that's on page 832. Oh, I see. So it's not for public consumption. There was no place that we can go readily and find this. We would have to go and dig to find this. That's how they use this trickery to protect themselves. And a bill with, an incredible amount of legal jargon, which is difficult to read if you don't have clarity of focus, it'll be hidden in there.
The legal jargon is important because, how do you say this without sounding crazy?
Sound crazy.
If you don't speak the language, then you shouldn't be making that kind of deal. We're agreeing to things because we don't want to look dumb. So a lot of times when you read a legal document, you don't even ask for clarification because you don't want to look stupid. You don't want to look silly. And I think what you just quoted what you said page was 219. I was looking at page 224 myself, that last paragraph, or second to last paragraph.
No,
Another
this is
plan,
page 197, chapter 12.
and I'm not far behind. I'm on 224, and the crazy thing is right now, you when you watch the History Channel, I remember somebody's making fun. The only thing the History Channel shows is what is Hitler and aliens, and then
The aliens from
oh
5,000 years ago.
yeah, and then Oak Island. And so, like I said, let me read the second to last paragraph on that page. Another plan is in force. It is the plan to prepare the public for eventual confrontation with an alien race. It could also intend to make you believe in the alien race that may not exist. The public is being bombarded with movies, radio advertising, and TV programs depicting almost every aspect of purported true nature of alien presence. This includes the good and the bad. Look around, pay attention. Someone is planning to make their presence known, and the government is preparing you for it. Look, it talks about panic and wide scale and all that kind of stuff next. But the bottom line is this: whether they exist or not is not the issue. But we're being prepared for it. We're being groomed for it.
Okay,
And a lot
but
of these things.
but here's the thing though. Let me stop you right there. So the waters are being muddied right now, and a counter story has been released for the Tic Tac and Pentagon videos, UFO videos that were released
Mm-hmm.
over the past 2 years. And now this story that's coming out is saying, oh, those are drones from the either China or Russia. No, 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 no. These drones, these things, these objects at move at incredible velocities from 6 feet above the water of the ocean all the way up to 80,000 feet in 2 seconds. No, there is no
Hold
man made propulsion system that can do that.
it. Well, hold it. That's deep. But it even says the unprecedented numbers of sightings worldwide indicate that the public exposure is not far off. Never in the history have there been so many incidents. Look, long story short, I've seen some UFO stuff. And I'm not talking about that right now. But I'm saying that when you spot something like that, you're not going to forget it. You know the difference between a helicopter, a jet plane, etc. Now, whether it's outer space, extra dimensional, whatever it is, don't make a difference, or it's just some lost technology that they've been hiding from us. The bottom line is that they're preparing you for something, so when it does happen, you won't be surprised. It's designed to make you pliable, malleable, where they can okay, manipulate you. See, and then the other thing is whether that race exists or not, they're going to already tell you hey, we can't discriminate against them. And the whole time you're worried about being guilty, they're taking your rights, or they're alienating, or they're taking over our government, that kind of stuff. That's what you're afraid of. That's what we're afraid of, is an outsider taking over. But we wouldn't dare. Well, no, you don't be racist. Don't discriminate because they're different from you. They're preparing you for that shit right now. Best believe. Again, I'm not saying they exist. I'm saying that there's an initiative to prepare you for something that's coming next. Go ahead, Mr. Roscoe.
So what we started off this conversation talking about is how they will stuff all types of nefarious things into these bills that are passed. Now, the politicians will have also made the claim that I don't read these bills, I just sign them. I asked for a summary of what it's about and I just signed the bill. And that one type of gripe right there was used by more than one senator for
Yep.
the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is something that has been foretold in different ways from the book Behold the Pale Horse, because the Patriot Act was touted as something that would help us to fight the war on terror and catch the bad guys who brought down the Twin Towers, etc., etc. But nothing in there, it was proven that nothing in there was ever used to catch these quote unquote terrorists.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
Right. So the thing is that there's a lobbyist. There's lobbies. It's the military industrial complex, and they lobby Washington all the time. These huge military contractors, and so they find ways to get bills passed, laws written that will be beneficial to them. Now, if this contractor or contractor group specializes in big data, which is a term you're hearing now, or the mining of information, then what you have is a type of currency that's being traded, and that currency is information. And so
Mm.
these greedy ass people want access to your information. And so the only way they can get full access is there has to be the permission. They have to have permission from an authority, the government. But then the government says, okay, but I have to justify why I'm going to do this. So we have to have some type of event. Now, the thing is, these conversations aren't had out in the public. These are like held in the back of a smoky steakhouse at closing time when there's nobody around to listen, when these two guys are just sitting in the back of this place plotting this shit. And then he's gonna take that to other senators and congresspeople or these special interest groups.
There's groups. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And then they have their planning. And then they go and they loop in, the military intelligence, and they have them help them figure out how can we bring about this agenda. What can we cook up that's going to allow these people to allow us to benefit this, to bring about a new order.
But that's why it's so important how they name these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just so real eloquently, like, okay, they'll call it the Patriot Act. The name Patriot Act. Yeah, that sounds important. That sounds great. I'm a patriot. So when you have a senator or a congressman tell you they didn't read it, that's embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
You're my elected official. You're supposed to be the buffer between bad things and me. Or hey, this I get it. 20% of people won't benefit from this, but 80% will. We need to go ahead and go through with it. That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, and what the thing that you pointed out very, very important was that all this stuff, all these rights we've given up, did not catch one terrorist. You don't. They were catching terrorists before that. You don't even hear about. I remember one time. This was a border guard coming from Canada. Some terrorists were coming into America from Canada, and she stopped it by herself. That doesn't make the news. But what makes the news are a lot of these contrived things. Whether 9/11 is an inside job, whatever you believe is what you believe. But the bottom line is that fear causes you to give up your rights and let the government knows best. The government don't know best. We know best.
So, what exists now that was not large enough and barely existed back when this book was published is the internet. What the internet has done has allowed for blowback to happen. How it allows for people to be caught red-handed in the middle of scandals. It allows you to dig up stuff on people that it would have to go into college libraries to find decades
Yes.
ago. A lot of these things that we're talking about, a lot of these things that we take for granted now, this access for information, you had to go and dig to find this stuff. Now it's very close by. Now, even if you want to read the book, you can at least research the book online and order the book hella easy. Hella easy. But like that's the thing is like we have the tools to speed up the persecution of our oppressors now as opposed to in the past. But the problem is there's a double-edged sword because yes, we have faster access to tools, but there's a lot of distraction, thirst traps, and everything that would
Complicated. Social media is more for entertainment than social media is powerful, but they're using it for entertainment. And then whenever you try to say like something deep or profound, they say that you're lying, and they take your Facebook access, or they count you. They give your information to the government so you can be watched. That's you're being punished. And
so
like you said, you have access to the information. What you gonna do with it?
when the pandemic scandemic started to happen, there was these buzzwords flying around about the news called contingency of government. Now, the first time I came across this term was reading Behold a Pale Horse. And I heard about a place called Iron Mountain. Now, for those of you who don't spend much time outdoors, Iron Mountain is a summit in the Sangre de Cristo, that means blood of Christ in Spanish, the Sangre de Cristo mountain range in Colorado. I have been to the Sangre de Cristo mountain range. It's very beautiful. The thing is, Iron Mountain was built underneath this summit to be used as a contingency point, a gathering place for this alternate government. So if society crumbled and the ruling government was destroyed, a backup
Yep.
government would already be in place and would step
In
in
place.
to take over. Now, For those of you who enjoy lots of entertainment, you saw this illustrated in the television show The Last Ship. You should go and
Mm.
watch this show. It's entertainment, but this show is there's military contractors, there's military personnel retired and active that provide consultation for this show. And not just this is how you hold the gun and this is how you drive a tank. No, 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 no. They provide consultation as to like what would happen in this scenario if the grid went down, a pandemic claimed the lives of most of the earth, and terrorists were still trying to attack and control America. You should really watch this show. I'm speaking to everybody. Watch The Last Ship. You ain't got to get balls deep in the 3 seasons. Just watch the first season because the first season will really elaborate into like what could happen in this scenario. But Behold a Pale Horse was the first time that I came across the concept of contingency of government. Now, growing up as a child of the 80s, we always had the scare of nuclear war with Reagan and
Yeah,
Gorbachev.
Russia. Yep, yep.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that, I would talk to my pops who was military and I would ask him, I was like, so if these bombs drop and everything is wiped out, he's like, what would happen? He's like, well, there's underground bases. There's underground bases and there's weapons and there's stockpiled for years so that if everything was destroyed, the military would still exist. I said, so if the military still exists, there would still be a president. He's like, yep. And there would still be a government of some form to try and take control if everything was wiped out. And I said,
Now,
oh,
hold it. There's something crazy about that. Since we grew up in Omaha, I remember going to visit Strategic Air Command, SAC
SAC,
Air Command, when,
off of
when
Air
we were
Force Base.
kids. Yeah. And you get out there, and they take you to visit, and you go underground. And first, they show you these bombs, and one of the bombs. This is one of the bombs they dropped on such and such. This bomb is literally the size of 2 Volkswagens. It's huge. And then they show you the underground bunker. They take you like kind of down there a little bit, and they show you this stuff. Now, I don't think they do tours anymore. Excuse me. And SAC ain't there. It's called something different now, of course. But the bottom line is, when you, as a kid, we witnessed it, and we don't realize what this stuff means. We just know, like, hey, if a nuclear attack happens, some people will be saved. This safe here, and this, and this. And fast forwards, and we always talked about 9/11, and Bush came to
To
SAC Air
Omaha,
Force
to
Base.
the base
Yeah.
for 9/11. So that
So,
so that should tell you something. They moved the nuke control to Colorado, but it's strange that even though we were at war, they still brought him to Offutt Air Force Base. Now,
the safest place they could find.
you check this
Safest
out.
place.
For those of you who don't understand what's going on, what we're really saying, Omaha, Nebraska is strategically in the middle of the United States. Strategically, there's a base there because 1,500 miles to the west is California. 1,500 miles to the right is New York to the east. So if the bombs were to like hit the west coast and the east coast, the fallout would not reach the Midwest. It would not reach Omaha for months and months and months, allowing them plenty of time to plan and react. So all that's done by design. So there's a little backstory on that. So yeah, there's that.
But what I'm saying is, those conversations you had with your father, they weren't just made up stuff. He's not just speculating.
No,
Yeah,
no.
as a child, we went on
My
tours.
father
and
is a
witnessed
career
stuff.
soldier, so like he saw all kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I knew that. but I'm saying that so when you talk this stuff, people always think, oh, how do you know? Like, no, we witnessed stuff when they took us on them tours. Especially, I went to summer school. My mama forced me to go. They would take you to Bellevue, and they would take you to this base, and they would take you underground and show you some stuff, and you wouldn't believe some. It's like, wow, this is crazy. So
And then
yeah, kids don't work.
you also gotta understand, for you to be on that base, for you to be stationed on that base, back in the day, you have to be listen, if you were sweeping shit on the floor, okay, if you were like putting oil in like Humvees, you had to be the best at doing that to even make it to that base. So there's that.
But hold on, let's bring this all back. The whole point of being is that the contingency government. What he's telling you is that if shit hit the fan, our government would still survive. That was the plan. That was the idea.
And you heard that
Um,
talk recently within the past month and a half with this whole coronavirus thing.
and the whole issue is that we were all scared of nuclear war. That was the veil, or that was the thing over
That
our
was the
heads back
boogeyman.
then. Yeah, exactly, and that was the thing that okay, the Russians can come at us anytime. Well, back to contingency government. One of the things that we grew up reading about or knowing about was this Rex 84.
Rex 84.
Now, the first time you hear about that as a black man is called the King Alfred Plan, and there was a song written by Gil Scott Heron in '72 about King Alfred Plan, and it breaks down what's going to happen to black folks if we ever rise up or mount up, or we're declared as a nuisance or a threat. So again, we mentioned this on one of our old talks, but lightly, is that during World War II, all the Asians, it didn't matter if you were from Japanese, Chinese, whatever, a lot of the Asians were put in concentration camps. That's what people don't talk about that. Those concentration camps, many of them were here in Nebraska. And so they gathered up all the Asians, no matter what race you were, and put you in a concentration camp because they were afraid, because one of our enemies was Japan. Again, so the first time I kind of found out about that was talking to an Asian kid I went to high school with. He was like, "Hey, no," I'm like, I remember he had this Mazda truck. Like, how'd you get this new Mazda truck? He said, "Hey, Ren, don't you know when we come here, we get 10 years tax free?" I'm like, "What's we and who? What?" He's like, "Who's we? You got a mouse in your pocket?" I love to say that. He's like, "No." He said, he was actually Filipino. He wasn't Japanese or whatever. He
Filipino.
said, but no, yeah. He was like to make up for World War II. And I'm thinking of just because we bombed Japan, Japanese. No. A short time later, one of our friends, his dad did a documentary about that, about one of the concentration camps that's still physically there. Well, it's not there. There was an explosion. The camp was changed to something else, to munitions later on. There was an explosion there. But prior to that, that was a concentration camp where Asian Americans were placed. Well, go back to Rex 84 or King Alfred Plan, was that they were so worried about blacks rising up because, back in the 50s and 60s, there were all these riots and black folks. So they were like, if black folks get out of hand, they got a place for you. They were talking about putting you in these concentration camps. Well, if you read the New York Post, they're saying that this is a fictional, based on some fiction written by a black man. But then you find out that was a file found in an airport by mistake, and it has the map of the FEMA camps. Well, excuse me, have this map of how Rex 84 would work. Well, you fast forward it, there's a map of how FEMA works. The maps are damn near identical. The only thing that was different was a small port that was like Louisiana. Excuse me, not New Orleans. It was Louisiana. That's the only part that's different. Well, Rex 84, going back to then, was what they did. Instead of using the military, they were training these militia groups that were sheriff's departments, giving them extra money and funding, and they were being trained on urban warfare and what to do if this were to happen. So you had these good old boy network. You had a bunch of racists that were given weapons in case the niggas got out of line. And if the niggas got out of line, you would have gathered them up and put them in these camps. So people are saying that wasn't real. Well, fast forward it to I think it was 90 something. Some laptop gets misplaced, and they go into one of these Toshiba hard books, and then somebody leaves it someplace, and they find out. That's when they realize that the FEMA camps and the FEMA, all that stuff that you saw in Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory show, that those camps are still alive and well, and they're being built right now. Well, why are you building camps? Who are they for? Now people are understanding that is the case. The American people get out of line. Well, FEMA, who is very powerful, and they don't need the permission from the president or anybody, if they see that the American population is getting out of hand, they will start hurting you up on these camps. So what we're talking about is that they were talking about doing this to black folks first if we got out of line. Now they're talking about doing it to poor people or anybody who doesn't agree with the government. And they're saying it's not true, but you saw those FEMA coffins. Who are those coffins for? Now, they had all those coffins and stuff for Katrina. They had all these coffins and stuff even now. Like, who are those for? Because we're not losing that many people to this disease. Is because they're preparing for the worst. In case it's an urban incident where the military has to come in and start laying you down, they have a plan for that. And if they decide to herd you at your homes, they got a place for you. So it's complicated. But like I said, if you listen to the music, if you listen to Gil Scott Heron is basically hip hop back from 70s. If you listen to it, they're telling you about these camps, that they existed, and that they're still. That's still a plan. There's still a contingency plan.
So, all right, on chapter 8, Rennick, silent the goddamn phone, man.
It is. That's an alarm. Oh. I'm getting a lot of messages. That's what it is. Okay, it's off.
All right. Okay. So chapter 8, there is called. There's a chapter called "Are the Sheep Ready to Shear?" And it is a police state's test case, and this happened in Oklahoma on January 1st, 1991. So there was a House Bill 1750 that was passed in January of I'm sorry of 1989, but it was made it was put into play on January 1st, 1991, and it was a 96-page state law that went into effect, and what it requires is all Oklahoma residents to declare everything they own to the tax collector, everything, guns, coins, art collections, furnitures, business equipment, bank accounts, household furniture, etc. And so basically, every single thing that you own had to be accounted for. They wanted to know about all of your goods, everything you spent your money on. They wanted to track and control it. And this is going all the way back to 1991. So any property not previously listed or undervalued will be assessed a penalty of up to 20% of its market value. Wow, this made renters into property taxpayers and make life easy for gun robbers or gun grabbers. Yeah. So what we're doing here is we're tying together how people who dissent or disagree will be punished in a variety of ways. So they'll come at you from a tax collector bookkeeping approach, or they'll come at you from a police approach where you'll be arrested if you don't submit outright. They'll take your guns because you have all of them registered. So you're being attacked on more than one level. And so they're allowing themselves a bulletproof plan to approach this domination of you. So then, go ahead.
You could lose your rights over. I was going to say, like you talk about the gun part. That means that you could lose your rights over bookkeeping errors. Say that you didn't put the right caliber on the gun, or you didn't register the guns all. You could lose everything from that. This is just how manipulative. Yeah, it's messed up.
Right, right. And so this is the thing. So then you have something like Rex 84, which is for the people in the cities. Okay, we'll just say Agenda 21. All right, this is for the peoples in the cities because they want to get everybody out of the countryside, which is all about Agenda 21, moving people out of the countryside, taking away their rights, putting them into the city where they're easy to control, taking away their guns or any people who disagree, so that way they'll have no way to fight back. Because in the Constitution it says, the Second Amendment, that American citizens should have the right to bear the same arms that the military owns in case there is an uprising or the government becomes corrupt. That's the whole reason why you can buy assault rifles. Because there's a lot of you out there listening to this wondering, like, man, why are they making a big deal about assault rifles? Think about this for a second. If there was someone in control of the military, in control of the government, who decided that their way of doing things was the only way, and they decided not to listen to the will of the people anymore, then you have a coup. You have an uprising.
Inability to stop them.
Yes, you won't have any. Well, the thing is, you won't have an ability to stop them if you don't have any guns. Because look at what happened to all these countries in World War II, right before the Nazis came in. They took away their weapons. They took away their weapons, their will to fight back, their ability to fight back. But that's why nobody invades the United States, because they know they will get shot the fuck up. Listen, there was a famous hold on. There's a famous Japanese general who was asked, why would you not invade the United States? He said, because behind every blade of grass is an American with a gun. Now,
you knew where I was going with that. Yes, sir.
Yes. So the thing is that I know we talk a lot about guns on this show, but really what we're talking about is the martial mind, the
Freedom.
mindset to defend yourself and be free. Okay? So, a lot of passive people change their tune when this pandemic thing started going down, when they started talking about, shortages of water and they couldn't find food at the
No
grocery
toilet
store,
paper.
no toilet paper, all these things. Now they're talking about there's going to be a shortage of the meat packing plants. So this is okay. Let's talk about this for a second. They're saying
Hold it,
now.
hold it, pause it, pause it. Go back to the gun thing because since we're talking about the book, it's page 225 of the book, and it
Okay.
starts. First things first. This whole page is about the black neighborhood. If you about black folks, so
Uh huh.
but it's about guns. So I don't want you to get off that subject. So pause that
I
for a
got it. I
second
got it. Go
because
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Okay. For many years, the secret government has been importing drugs and selling them to people, mainly the poor minorities. If you want to know about that, that's Ricky Ross and the CIA in Nicaragua. Social welfare, excuse me, social welfare programs were put into place to create a dependent, non-working element in our society. The government then began to remove these programs to force people into a criminal class that did not exist in the 50s and 60s. The government encouraged the manufacture and importation of military firearms for the criminals to use. This is intended to foster a feeling of insecurity, which would lead to the American people to voluntarily disarm themselves by passing laws against firearms, using drugs and hypnosis on mental patients in the process called Orion. The CIA included the desire in these people to open fire on schoolyards and thus inflame the anti-gun lobby. This plan is well underway. So far,
Yes.
it is working perfectly. The middle class is begging government to do away with the Second Amendment. Now, here's where it gets even deeper. Authors note, I found that these events have indeed happened all over the country, even instances that I have investigated. The incident with women's school in Canada, the shopping center incident in Canada, the Stockton, California massacre, and the murder of Rabbi Mir Khan. These shooters were all ex-mental patients or were current mental patients who were all on the
Or the
drug
drug
Prozac.
Prozac.
Now, it's more about the CIA in there, but the
This
bottom line is
drug,
this.
when taken in certain doses, increases
Yes.
the serotonin level in the patient, causing an extreme violence.
You always see these side effects may cause suicidal tendencies, may cause this. A lot of a lot of these antidepressants are actually making you more aggressive. And I even knew somebody who's married. I can't, please forgive me for it, but he talked about his wife was on Prozac and she did some crazy stuff to, a Christian woman, mild woman attacking. So when you ever look, let's go back to, like I said, this is written in '91. Even when you found out about old boy in Colorado who shot up the movie theater for Batman, he was on Prozac. He was on these antidepressants. So many of these people are on antidepressants, and you're realizing that again. Sometimes when we say the fix is in, it doesn't exactly mean the CIA actually gave the gun to that person. But these drugs and these incidents are back, or even with the shooting up in the Northeast. I can't think of it when they shot up the school. Remember, two or three guys.
Sandy
They
Hook.
caught two guys with Sandy Hook. When they caught two guys with ARs. Well, what was the other guy doing? The one they caught in the parking lot that never made it in.
They don't want to talk about that.
And the other thing, one more thing on note about Sandy Hook, you got to remember that they already had an assault rifle ban in that state already. You could not have one. The only reason that woman had them because she had her husband's collection and the boy had access to it. But then the other guy had an AR. Where did he come from? Because those guns were already banned in that state. So banning guns only affects good citizens. But I'm sorry. Proceed in saying what you were saying about the packing house, Mr.
Okay.
Roscoe.
So here's the thing. They had a lot of these meat packing plants shut down and kill their cattle. And this doesn't make any sense to me. Why kill the cattle? Just allow the cattle to live a bit longer, get subsidies, extra subsidies from the government to pay for this additional cattle or the grain that's going to be used to feed these cattle. You don't have to go and just kill all this livestock. That's such a waste. So then when you kill all that livestock, all that's going to do is create a shortage of food. So you're creating a shortage of food on purpose. This is being done on purpose to create fear, to create famine. Behold, a pale horse talks about these things. But this is the thing. In the end of that chapter that Duct Tape was quoting about the mass shooters, it says the conclusions are inescapable. The secret power structure may believe that by our own ignorance or by divine decree, planet Earth will self destruct sometime in the near future. These men sincerely believe that they are doing the right thing
Hmm.
in their attempt to save the human race. It is terribly ironic that they have been forced to take as their partner an alien race which is itself engaged in a monumental struggle for survival. Hmm. Well, how about them apples?
Look, the whole idea that one we're big Second Amendment guys, but at the same time, you got a lot of people who never shot guns before, never cared about them, purchasing guns now because they're afraid of food shortages. They're not afraid that they're not buying these guns to go out and hunt. They're buying these guns because they think that some looters or somebody's going to show up at their house, which Y2K all over again. They've been practicing this stuff for years. They've
Mm-hmm.
been practicing people's behaviors and manipulation this entire time. So they're much better at it
But see,
than we are.
Y2K. Listen, if the internet was around when Y2K was around, but social media was not had not been invented yet.
Not to
Because
this power, no.
no, but the thing is, the fact that it had not been invented yet, had not been implemented, is what allowed that to come and go so easily. But so now you have people, you have people, this is the funny part. You have the people, these woke people, quote unquote, woke people, who are so crazy outrageous when it came to being like a SJW, a social justice warrior, or
Yes.
now the same people that are snitching on their neighbors for going outside, for shaking somebody's hand, for hugging a person. Same person. That snitch is the same person. But
Hold it. The other part that you forgot about, remember it talks about these kids, they'll start these kid organizations where the kids will turn their parents in. That's another thing that I'm worried about right now. With these kids not going to school, they're all at home. You're going to have a generation of kids who have no social skills, completely weak. And what are you going to do when they'll turn their parents in just for what? So some social points?
so there's this group.
Yeah.
There's this group that's been started by the friend of the wife of Rupert Murdoch. Okay, a Chinese woman, and this
Hmm.
is a school for Manchurian candidates.
Oh, wow.
So basically, what they're doing, they're creating these Manchurian candidates in these young children. It's not just Chinese children. There's American kids that are involved in this program, and these kids are going to be the Trojan horse for within the next 10 to 20 years for the mass shooters, for assassins, for all types of saboteurs that they're going to need to enact their plans. So because these kids they'll have maybe they'll be dual linguistic. They'll speak two languages or they'll speak three languages, or maybe born on another continent. So their past is erased, or we can't find their past because it's not in American databases. But these kids, this group is called VIP Kid. You can look it up, and it is a Manchurian candidate farm think tank for these kids that are going to grow up to be the Manchurian candidates for these powerful operators. I'll call them that. These powerful operators. So what I'm talking about is the next generation of soldier in their army that's fighting against us.
And the other thing that perplexes me, or that you brought up a while ago when you talked about socialism, and how that in these socialist countries they always had these engineers and these highly intelligent people running things, and that's one of the things that's being fought out in the media right now, wherever they have an expert. And why is the expert in charge? Because it's an improvement when these experts take over. All they do is spend money and they don't accomplish anything. So you got to be careful when you ask for that. And that's another thing they talk about in the book, of course, page 176.
Well,
All intellectual.
yes. Hold that thought for a second, and I'll answer that question your rhetorical question is because these people that they get into these jobs, these technocrats are scientists, and so they have their cold, calculated thinkers. They make decisions without emotions. All their decisions are based on logic. So they need an icy reptilian to get in there and enact these plans. Somebody who does not make decisions with emotion involved. Continue.
Also, well, that's even deeper. Not all inventors are scientists. We clump these guys together, and that's not how it works. Many inventors invent stuff for a need. Many scientists, again, cold calculating. Okay, well, if there's too many people that die from this, we'll do it this way. Less people will die. How about create a way where nobody dies? Or, when I had an argument, well, not an argument, I had a discussion with somebody about medicine, and this guy tells me that these people went to school for it. I'd rather deal with a doctor than some holistic whatever. And I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. So if you have a plant and you isolate the chemical in that plant that makes people well, right? So how come when you take that chemical out the plant, there are side effects? And he's like, no, it's because they don't know this. I'm like, no, the side effects are on purpose. Until you recognize that the side effects create more customers, then you don't understand what a side effect is. Yeah, I blew his. Yeah,
Yeah.
he has diarrhea of the mind right now.
Cat
He can't
peel.
even talk to me. What you must understand that if what you're saying that by taking this chemical out the plant, I'm using that and it should work perfectly, right? It's not. But then all of a sudden you have all these different side effects. It's because the side effects aren't by accident. It's designed to create more users, more drug dealers. Now, the other part that we were discussing is that you think by having these experts in place that you are making life better. You're not, because many of these people don't understand the ramifications. Now, it's a double-edged sword. You don't need some idiot in charge either, but you got to understand the role of leadership and what a leader does. And a leader should be an expert manager. They should know where to put people and how to make things work. The part I was reading was all intellectual rulers and government bodies agree that population is the biggest threat to civilization. That's not true, but that belief has been put out there. That's one of the things they're putting out there, that where you feel guilty going on a bike trail. Look, and again, we talked about this before. Like when the fix is in, why are they always in Africa for population when Africa only has the African continent only has 1.3 billion people. The country of India has 1.3. Why are you not over in Asia where they have way more population issues than the continent of Africa? Because the bottom line is still about the land, it's still about the money. That's always the issue. Now, the other thing that we learned later on is that the CIA, NSA, and all these first things first. We never talked about the NSA until 9/11. But how are these agencies funded? They're funded by what? Drug sales and illegal things they're doing. So when you read this book, you find out that's not by accident. They're drumming up money all over the place.
They
The
call them
biggest
black
drug dealer in the world.
projects. They call them black
Yeah, yep.
projects. They call them black projects because these are things that the government does not want any participation in, and that's going to smear its name,
It,
its
yes,
reputation. And so what they
yes.
do is they'll give money to these guys that were loose cannons in the military to begin with, people that were sociopaths that will
They don't
go.
give them enough. They don't even give them enough money though. They give them a little bit of money that
Yeah,
forces them to do the other things. Yes.
right. But that's the thing is like they give them enough money just to function. And then what it does is it creates this a doorway for more of the market to open up, for more people to do it. See, all they do is they create it. They just create the stuff so that then they create the players. They build the court for the players, right? By starting the first game, their first 3-on-3 game, and then dudes see them playing ball, they walk up like, "Yo, I got next. I want in on a dope game. I want to play ball." And so these guys
And
who had no government
there's no
connection
culpability. Yep.
are
There's no
now
culpability on their part.
stooges for the government, selling their dope, moving their dope. And guess what? You can use my planes. You can use my planes to bring your dope into South Central Los Angeles. You can use my planes to bring your dope into Miami, into New York City, into Mena, Arkansas. Okay? These
Wow.
people, these people, Slick Willie, these people
Hmm.
are the ones that say the government had no, accountability in this. We didn't had nothing to do with it. That's bullshit. This is a black project that you started, and you created for it because you knew it would make money. You knew it would turn into a money machine that you could put millions and billions of dollars towards a police force that was not doing anything at all in this manner before because the problem didn't exist. So all you did was create the problem, and then you create the solution.
Now, okay. First things first, like I said, we grew up in the '80s, so you hear about Iran Contra or the Contras in Nicaragua and all that kind of stuff. So we're supporting them, but we can't support them in real life. So what does the CIA do? The CIA gives them drugs and tells them, "You sell these drugs to our people, you have money and buy the guns that you need." Same thing in Iran. Like, okay, we can't support you because we don't want a world war. We don't want to, but we know that's why Bin Laden had CIA clothing on. The clothes that Osama bin Laden had came from the CIA.
Listen,
So
I heard in 1996 with my own ears a radio interview with Gary Webb. They made a movie about him 3 to 4 years
yep.
ago. It was called Kill the Messenger. Watch this fucking movie. Watch Kill the Messenger. Great movie. Gary Webb, rest in peace, was a reporter for the San Jose Mercury. This guy, this like off-brand newspaper, small town newspaper, broke this story about how the CIA was using Ricky Ross and other people to fly dope into California, into the United States.
South Central LA.
In
Yes.
particular. Yes. Now, there was, if you go online, you can watch this video, is out there somewhere. But you see where the CIA, I think the deputy director of the CIA is addressing these people in South Central Los Angeles at a town hall meeting, and they are eating his ass up. They are throwing the hardest questions at him left and right, and he's just melting. He's melting under pressure because he's full of shit.
It's deeper than that, but that goes back to that page we talked about earlier, where it says that we created these social programs. First things first, we eliminated the jobs. We always talk about this. Take away the manufacturing base. Well, so it creates a criminal element because you got everybody on welfare. Take away the welfare. So now you have to sell drugs. You have to be in a gang, and you have to do that. So what that tells you is that what was done to black folks in the '80s was not by accident. It was on purpose. The only way we messed up was by not investing our money in the real market. Because when you look at a city that was built by cocaine, Miami was built by cocaine. All those cocaine banks popped up overnight, and those are now legitimate banks and stuff now. So that's terrible to say. I get it, but it's the truth. Use that money for something constructive. Now, back to the behold a pale horse is what he's telling you is that the CIA was doing this on purpose because the CIA only gets a little bit of money, but then they have to take that money and become the biggest drug dealers in the world just to fund their stuff. Second, that means the president and the White House does not know what the CIA is doing. It can't touch them. So we're like, hey, they're doing their job.
All they do is build the court. They build the court, and then they buy sneakers, they buy tennis shoes and basketballs, and put new nets onto the rims so the players can play. That's all they do. They just set it up, they get it going, and then what happens? The players keep it going, and then
they have no contact with the players though. They're not encouraging you to do this. They're not telling you that this is good. You know what I'm saying? But like my brother's saying is that the same thing with the Prozac. Look, they're not telling these people to go buy guns or anything else. I'm not saying that the Manchurian candidates don't happen. I'm not saying that they haven't made those people.
Listen, man, they're the weird old dude. They're the weird. Listen to me. They are the weird old dude that is standing on the other side of the fence outside the playground wearing a pea coat with fucking candy inside his jacket, talking about, hey, little girl, you want some candy? I got some. That's who the fuck they are, dude, okay? That is who the fuck they are. They are the worst kind of enablers ever created.
But here's the problem. He has candy in one pocket, in the other pocket he has a hole. So if you put your hand in one pocket, you'll get the hole. And you know what's in the hole? Is dingling. And the other pocket is candy. So you might win or you might lose. That's the whole problem. You got to watch that. And like I said, even when it came to the situation with the Prozac and these people shooting up these schools and doing the things they're doing, the CIA didn't make that guy depressed, though. You see what I'm saying? They didn't make it, but they still keep Prozac on the market knowing that it's done some crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And all these guys and all these people are on it.
Okay.
I'm not. We're not dissing Prozac. What we're saying is that you need to research this shit before you take it.
All right. One of the last chapters in the book is chapter 15, and it talks about the protocols of the wise men of Zion. Now, this is some real dirty stuff because these people that it discusses in this chapter are some wicked ass people because these people are the same ones that at the same time funded the Ku Klux Klan, gave them $100,000. They also, in the same year, gave $100,000 to Elijah Muhammad in New York City. Okay? They also gave in 1930 large stipend funding to Booker T. Washington that was to be used for the Tuskegee experiment. I will repeat myself now. The Tuskegee experiment was funded by Zionists, evil Khazarian Zionists. Now, those of you who know a little bit about something are probably saying, oh, you're anti Semitic, you're anti Jew. No, 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 no. Within Judaism, there are wicked people, interlopers, who have infiltrated that group, that religion, the same way evil interlopers have intercepted and interbred into Christianity and Islam. So these Khazarian evil ass people, they start shit between racial groups to cause division on purpose because it creates a method of control. Now these same people, I'll say this one man also started the NAACP. A Khazarian Jew from Romania started the NAACP. It was not started by black people. You can go and look this up. All right? SNCC, okay?
Student Nonviolent Coalition.
That's right. Was not started by black students. So,
Mm-mm.
you got to understand the Boule was funded by a Rockefeller, which then went on to create the Divine Nine, which is what also known as all of the black Greek societies on black college universities. Yeah. So, what I'm saying to you is the world that you recognize is not what the world really is. It's a lot more complicated than you really understand it to be. There are
You
invisible
don't know. You don't know
forces.
who's on your side. You
You
don't know
don't.
who's against
You
you either.
don't. You don't know until you dig. So get your ass a shovel and start digging. And you're going to find out that these institutions that you have put your faith and love into for decades really don't have your best interest at heart. You know, when these people would come and talk to me when I was in high school and talk to me about colleges and talk to me about HBCUs and this and that, there was something in my spiritual discernment that was saying to me that there is good in this, but at the heart of this, there is some bad. And I was reading A Behold a Pale Horse, and I was coming across information, and in my mind and my consciousness was expanding in so many different directions rapidly. And I started to see that I would wind up being a lone wolf in many ways because of the knowledge I possessed. And I knew that my ways of thinking would clash with my own people as well as other people. And I was perfectly fine with that. But I knew that there were like minded people out there. And I'm talking to them right now.
If I tell you something, this is going to blow everybody's mind. But growing up, there were three things or four cartoons that we grew up watching: GI Joe, He Man, and Transformers. And that sounds so corny to everybody else, but if you know what we're talking about, they showed stuff in those episodes that are abstract concepts now. Um, we're
Gargoyles.
talking about
Hold on,
Zion.
hold on, stop. You cannot just gloss over cartoons without talking about gargoyles. I was talking with my homegirl a few days ago, and she was talking about how she's watching this cartoon with her baby, and it's like,
Illuminati, yeah, they
yeah,
went back in the
and
past.
she's like, but she was like, she's like, this is a brand new cartoon, and it has like all these pedo symbols in it, and it has like these Illuminati symbols in it. I'm like, what you need to do is go and look up gargoyles. Watch up gargoyles, and you will see some Illuminati imagery. You will learn some stuff watching that.
Shit.
Some
Some
shit.
it, and so the reason I brought those cartoons up is because that taught us how to think. That they weren't just entertainment. The episode with the Quintessons, you find out about the Quintessons. You find out they're the ones who invented the Transformers. But then you find out that they were just basically greedy businessmen, and they would actually create wars between different people just so they could sell them
The
weapons.
Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
Zion, and
Chapter
so
15 in the Beholder Pale Horse.
you laugh or you chuckle like he's full of shit. Like no, no, no. In fact, they even put races of people on planets just later on to sell them stuff. You know what? That's called colonialism. When you sit here and you disrupt, you create a society just for to your society. Yeah, we learned that stuff from watching that, and you realize like, okay, I'll be ready for adulthood. GI Joe.
Oh, stop. Wait. Hold on. First of all, we learned about DNA before on this cartoon before we learned about it in our textbooks, bro.
Deoxyribonucleic
And
acid. My
then
uncle Greg talked to us
and
about it.
listen. At that time, Nebraska had the highest. It was like in the top 10, like when it came to like public educational systems. So we had excellent education. Okay, but here's the thing though. In this one cartoon, we learned about cloning. We learned about alternate realities. We learned about weather control, weather domination, which is going on now. And if you don't think that's real, go fuck yourself. Okay?
They talked about seeding storm clouds with crystals way back then, and they've been doing that for years.
Underground
But
bases, secret
my point.
societies.
Hold it. There's a point to it. There's a point to this. The point is that a lot of times the shit that you think is fake is the real stuff, and the stuff that is real is fake. The reason that's so important is because that's how this society is propped up right now to confuse you, and you don't know who your allies are, you don't know who your friends are, and you don't know what to believe in, and it even messes with your spirituality when you find out so many of these people have corrupted different churches and different spiritual beliefs. But the bottom line is this: you have to search for knowledge. Knowledge ain't gonna come to you. And the other thing that nobody's gonna like when I say this, the difference between Lucifer and Yeshua is Lucifer is knowledge. Yeshua is truth. You need to be searching for truth. Knowledge is not enough because they're giving you knowledge all the time.
And it's how you use the knowledge anyway.
Yeah, it's applied. That's another thing. We talk about all these smart ass people, but none of them are rich. Is because they don't know how to apply what they know. They can study. They might even be able to critical think, but they cannot apply it. Emotion without behavior, emotion without action, intelligence without action, none of that stuff matters. You have to act on it and create something. These evil people are very driven people, and they're willing to create a whole society just to screw you over. So be careful. I ain't got nothing else to say. But,
I do.
I know you do. I know you do.
What I intend to close this with is that I implore everyone to read this book. And read this book, put it down, walk away, and just go observe reality. And then come back to it. Read another chapter, put it down, walk away, observe reality. Because you will find yourself doing triple takes from the correlations that you see between this book and the reality that you're walking around in now. The problem is that the New World Order came. It's here, and we are in it. We were warned about it. We were told to prophesy all this upside down, left, right, in every flavor and every language that you could absorb it in. And a lot of us didn't listen, but it's here now. You are living in it. You are in your home. You cannot make contact with other people. You are warned not to. You have people who are behaving like it's Nazi Germany right now and will snitch on you for talking to others, for walking in places you shouldn't be walking in. What? People will call the cops on you if you are standing outside of a store for too long or
Too
at the
many people talking to each other.
too many people talking to each other, gathering groups. They're finding ways now to use your phone as a tracking mechanism for all this information that you gave them with this biometric data you've been giving them through your workouts,
You
through
gave them permission.
and also your medical records, which you've been reading on your phone, you fucking dummy, because you've been giving all the information to them. You ever wonder how you talk about something with a friend, and then 5 minutes later, once you've left that friend's house, you have an ad on your phone because that
For,
phone has a microphone in it that is picking up keywords, and that algorithm is using those keywords to give you ads. Well, guess what else is doing? It's also selling that information to somebody else. And guess what? Hold on, stop. Wait. Because I'm on fire now, motherfucker. The thing is that information can be taken at any time from these companies by the government and used whenever they so choose, however they so please. So,
ask Snowden. Check out for Snowden.
hello. So, think about what you say on that phone. Think about how close you say it to your phone. And for God's sakes, if you got something really important to say in front of that smart TV, step away from your smart TV. Because if you go into the owner's manual on that smart television, it's going to tell you on a certain page, if you look, is a disclaimer. If you have to have an important conversation in front of this television, step away because you are being recorded. So
Look,
now hold on, motherfucker, I ain't done, because now we got the Internet of Things, okay, and the Internet of Things is your refrigerator telling you are low on eggs because there's a camera on the inside.
Why do you need an Android refrigerator? What the hell is that about?
Why do you need a camera inside your refrigerator to tell you that you don't have any eggs? Do you not know when you open the door that you don't have eggs? Oh, well, I can look inside and it's going to keep the power bill down. So wait. Let me get this straight.
You let the cold air.
So hold on. So you want to keep the power bill down and you're willing to trade your privacy for the power bill to be low? What the fuck is wrong with you? Yo, listen, hold on, no. I'm not done. The thing is, now you have these train of lights in the sky, which they're not UFOs. That's Elon Musk. And this guy fronts
SpaceX.
He fronts like he's a freedom fighter. He's not. He's a businessman. He's a businessman who's on the spectrum. He might as well be autistic. It means that like he's probably cold and calculated. But this is the thing though. So now he has his train of lights in the sky, which is going to grow and it's going to become a grid. So we'll have this like chain link fence over us when we look up at the stars. We're going to be looking up through the stars, through this fence at the stars. We'll be looking at the night sky through a chain link fence like prisoners. As Alec Jones said,
what kind of Mr. Burns bullshit is this?
A prison planet. Okay? So, again, I implore you to be smart with your smartphones. Be smarter than your smartphones. Maybe not use GPS for a place that you have been to 5 times. That you have an idea that, okay, the burger place is around the corner from the movie theater. So maybe I don't have to GPS that shit. I know where it is. Hold on. Try going to a place. Try looking up a place on a map. And going there without a robot telling you, turn right, turn left. Okay? Try to do this yourself on your own. Take back your conscious thinking. All right? Do that. Don't do that for me. Do that for your dead. No. Do that for your dead ancestors that's shaking their fucking head about this dummy with this soft ass cold fish handshake that ain't picked up nothing heavy in 10 years. They ain't done a push up in 50,000 years. Okay? I know I'm ranting, but damn it, y'all, like, come on.
No, it's not a rant. Okay, people are so smart that they overthink shit. Like, whenever you talk about the New World Order to somebody, they think it means somebody's new in charge. Like, no. If you just do your if you remember from your basic history class in grade school, what was the New World? America was a new world.
Mm-hmm.
So what New World Order means is that America's in charge. It doesn't mean somebody else is in charge. So New World Order started taking place in the 1400s when they left France and came to all that kind of stuff. So New World Order is already happening. So the problem is, if you're an American, what do you do about it? You have to take back your government so you can make sure it's an American for the people and that we care about each other and we fix stuff. And about the phone thing, real talk. I told you, put your when you come home, put your cell phone in your mailbox and leave it there, or stick it. Stick it. You
So
don't
here's the
need it
thing.
when you're at home.
Here's the thing. The apocalypse has already happened. The apocalypse just
Yes,
means the end of a way of life that you're used to. The world that you used to know is gone, and it keeps changing. And there'll be another apocalypse and another. It's like the Matrix. You're the seventh iteration of this person, and we didn't know you would behave this way. Well, it shouldn't take that many apocalypses for a motherfucker to like rise up and be the one. Don't be the one. Be all of them. Okay? Be all the ones that take back their rights, because the rights are taken away now with all this tracking. Whenever you hear the word tracking, pick your head up. Pick your head up from your phone and pay attention to somebody talking about tracking, because they're talking about you. They're talking about you and your family and your children and all those people. Controlling them, tracking them wherever they go. Don't get no computer in your head. Take that biometric Nike strap off your fucking arm, okay? And be smart about your purchasing power, and also be smart about how you spend your time. Spend more quality time with your family, with the phone off, outdoors, with the sun on your skin, and perhaps looking at the stars at night.
vitamin D, my dude. Vitamin D.
And that, on that level, we're gonna say adios, peace, deuces. We out.
Out.